Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's January 15th, 2025, 3 p.m. Call the Kent County Police Accountability Board to order. Hope everybody had a great new year and a good holiday.
Yes.
Coming into it, remember, all matters discussed about personnel is a reminder that as confidential matters. We follow Robert's Rules of Order, and we adhere to the Maryland Open Meetings Act. Everybody get a copy of this last month's minutes?
Yes.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to accept them?
Make a motion to accept. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to old business. We have a note here, need to coordinate on trial board policy with law enforcement agencies. Frank, you want to fill us in a little bit on that?
Yeah, the legislation that came out in '21, it did not include requirements for the trial board. And the trial board would be, if an officer has been through the process and the investigation has recommended some type of discipline, the department would then issue the discipline. And if the officer didn't agree with the discipline, saying that it would be too harsh or there should be some other one, they could request a trial board hearing. And at that time, the county would have to convene a trial board of an administrative law judge, an officer of the same rank, and a civilian trial board member, of which we have one trained member, Lisa Doyle. And she would sit in on that, and they would basically hear the case. The case would be presented by the law enforcement agency, and of course the officer would have a chance to make a defense. When they wrote the legislation, this was all covered before in the officer's Bill of Rights. It was spelled out step by step how a trial board would happen. But when they passed the new legislation, the officer's Bill of Rights went away, so the trial board procedures went away as well. The legislation did not cover that aspect. They left that blank for each law enforcement agency to determine their own trial board policy. So basically, each department has to start from scratch and build their own trial board policy. And the bigger departments, there's a lot more steps. Here in Kent County, we have spoken with the 3 police departments, the sheriff and the 2 police departments actually, and they're going to develop one policy, which I think they talked about at the last meeting. The other 2 departments will accept that. We're going to have the PAB input because there are certain steps in the process because of the legislation that the PAB has to be involved with as a county representative, like to request a law judge, it has to come from the senior leader of the county. So even if it's a Rock Hall officer or a Chestertown officer, the county senior leader has to make that request to the state administrative law judge's office. So that's the kind of organization that the PAB will do for that. So right now, the department, the sheriff's department has the lead. They're working on developing a policy. Once they get a rough draft, the other 2 departments will get their input on it. And we at the PAB will have 3 or 4 different points that we will be involved with. We have to, number 1, be notified that there's going to be a trial board, that they need the civilian member, which we, Valerie, will be required to work with the scheduling officer at the administrative law judge's office and the other members of the board to get it scheduled. Because from what I'm told, there hasn't been one in the county for a long time. But what I'm told is this: once the officer says he wants a trial board, it's a 3 to 4 month process to get it scheduled and get it all together. So they notify us of that. We start some of the scheduling. We work through getting the administrative judge assigned, the location where it's going to be held, and just the PAB's part there is mainly just coordinating and assigning that civilian member to the hearing at the scheduled time. And then once the hearing is over, the result will come back and it'll be closed out at our PAB level.
And that would be the end of the case matter once it goes for the trial
Yeah,
board?
if you look at that case, we don't really put, in our case spreadsheet, we put if the officer accepts
Right,
the discipline or if he doesn't.
right.
If he doesn't, common sense tells us to go into a trial board. Right. So, and then, once we do the scheduling and we get it all off the ground, then we get our civilian member assigned, and then it's basically out of our hands until they do their thing. So,
And so I take it from what you're saying, because in the very beginning, there was a lot of discussion about where to find a judge.
yes.
But I guess they've worked that out now, where everybody's going to use.
Well, yeah, the options for the county is to have a retired district court or circuit court judge that lives in the county that will hear these cases. Since we don't have one, and no one has volunteered to do these cases for us, we have to go to the state, the administrative law judge's office, and then they will assign them with us. So we've already worked out an MOU, memorandum of understanding, between the law judge's office in the county. It's already been signed by the commissioners. He made a presentation. It's gone through. They've agreed with it. They've signed it because there's costs involved, right? The administrative judge gets a salary of something like $200 an hour from the time they get the case until it's done, which includes his travel, lodging, case review, not just the actual sit-down hearing and all that. And the county, if it's a county officer, the county is pretty much responsible for it. If it's a smaller department, even though the county executive has to make the request, that town or that government office will be responsible for the whole cost. And there's some negotiation that we're not involved with at the city and county level, who's going to pay what. But, yeah, we get that judge scheduled. There's minimum is 2 options. I was told that there's Hunt Valley and there's an office in Salisbury, that they have office space that these judges can't use and we can use to hold the hearings. And depending on what judge is assigned, they kind of determine where we're going to have this hearing. And that's part of what the scheduling and stuff that Valerie will be worked through with them. There's something like 50 or 60 different judges on the list that could be assigned, and they say it's like a random, who's next on the list, who's willing to travel to make this case happen, from the judge's side of things, and then that side.
Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. New business. The board has to compile a annual report every year to give to the county commissioners to basically, it's an in-year review of all our statistical data, cases we've had, things that have happened, whether it's community outreach by law enforcement or whatever. And we just compile it, and it's really Frank and Val and Pete that put it together with our input. Everybody get that email I sent out about, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Oh, yes.
Was there anything off the top of your head? Scott, no one answered me back or anything, but no one had anything in there. A few things I want to add. I want to make sure we document that, the Coffee with the Cop program, the
Training.
barbecue they did at up at the sheriff's office at open house day, the dodgeball, the training that the board's been to. I want to make sure all that gets in there, so it's all
Something
covered.
done out to the Parks and Rec also.
The what?
Parks and Rec, when there's something done out there.
Night out.
No, National Night
It
Out.
was, okay.
But we'll all the board will get a copy of the report when we go to
But if there's
present.
something specific, like if you attended the National Night Out and you want to ensure that that is captured in a report, you should send us a little blurb and say, this was useful, this is a good tool, we should, cooperate with this in the future, or this is it helping the mission of the PAB, we may want to look in other areas. So we have some input from you guys, so we could, it's your board, and if this is helpful, we should know it, so we can report that to the commissioners, and we can plan, to do it again. Or
I love the way that they helped for Betterton Day. We didn't have any drunks getting in fights. We didn't have anything like that. They had enough officers down there to keep everything under control. Because usually you've always got fights from a drunk or something. But they had enough officers down there to keep everything peaceful.
Okay,
So I think, they need to get what they can for that.
all right. So if you want to send something to Barry, however you
Send me a little blurb email, so that way.
We did ride alongs.
Oh, yeah.
We got ride along. You
Yeah,
need,
right along,
yeah,
that's
the
right, yeah, that was
ride-alongs, yeah.
something
yeah,
else.
the ride alongs, and I actually went to court.
You did. Right.
Surprised I could find my way.
That's what you get for being a witness.
Didn't you know you hear nothing and see nothing?
Well, I didn't hear much that day because everything was either null frost or whatever,
Every time, yes.
but I did make the effort.
Can the recommendation for like Zoom training be put in, or that's,
So this report's more for like statistical things that we have done.
okay, but no recommendation, okay.
Yeah, and, this wouldn't be the place for that.
Okay,
But if there's some training that you think the board should have, John, if there's something
Right.
you think would be beneficial, then you should send that to Barry, even if we don't get it into the report. We can explore what training or, what event or whatever might be helpful to the board if there's something that you've seen out there that you want them to consider.
right,
You know,
okay.
on the Zoom training, is there a specific training or you just mean like in general? Like for the state training we went to?
Yeah, just
today?
like in general.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's out of our
And
control, that's
that's-
the state, and we did ask for it, and they told us their training is not conducive to
Right.
online, so that's where we are.
Right,
But if there's training that you think would benefit the board, and you've seen it, or it's out there somewhere, you should send a note to Barry, and we'll look into it and see if we can make it happen.
okay. And when I was out west, in fact, I need some business cards. I passed out some cards, interested in our police accountability board. Now, there are two different sections of the state. I was in New Mexico. Albuquerque is very technologically, because you got Sandia Labs, Los Alamos Laboratories. They're very sophisticated in their technology, so a lot of their training is taking place in Zoom. In fact, they have a lot of administrative hearings being done via Zoom, so a judge doesn't have to, travel. I mean, it's just things, to think about in the future. But in the other section of the state, very technologically resistant. Everything's face to face, so I thought that was kind of unique. But yeah, that's, go ahead.
The other thing that we need to do under new business is, any ideas for outreach or training that you foresee us doing or want to see us do or get involved in or think about, this would be the time to start thinking about it and bring it up, so we can plan for it for the year.
I think any training we can get is going to be helpful to us. So we understand things more than,
Well, we have the annual training day, and they already posted that. I saw there's an annual training day in September for the board.
I did not post that.
No, you didn't, but I saw it on that attachment of the training that I'm
okay.
going to.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is a date. We'll get it for you,
that's
but
the training day in Sykesville.
yeah, it's a one-day training thing in Sykesville.
for the
Kind
PAB.
Yeah,
It's
for
kind of
PA.
like what they brought to Denton, except,
Oh, it's more or less the same thing?
well, but yeah, and if there's any.
They'll talk about
right,
updates, if there's some.
Changes or whatever, exactly.
They're not gonna bring it back to the shore for us.
It doesn't look like it.
Scheduled so far. They
But-
just posted their training for the year a week ago, and that has that one day on it. And it's on their website, anyone can see it, it's on the Maryland Police Training Commission's website, scheduled there.
But if there's any new updates for this legislative session for the PAB, it's not going to come out until, March. So that's why they want to do the training later on, so they can plan for it and whatnot. But like I say, if you have any ideas on outreach, let me know. Because I think they definitely want to do the coffee with the cop. Again, maybe try a different location this time. But if there's something else we can think of, just let me know. Anything else under new business? Anything, Frank? Okay. Public comments or announcements? We have nobody from the public here. Announcements. I wanted to announce, although Lamont's not here, did y'all see the news?
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Fantastic.
Celebrity event.
Yeah.
They're well deserved.
Lamont got recognized for his time in service. And they named a training room. They named something after him.
That's
I think it was a training room.
He
It
deserved
was an award named after him, and I think there was a training room.
Yeah, but my thing was, he's got his name on a room.
That's
Door,
wonderful. He
yeah.
deserved it. I've been
Very much
Lamont for
so.
years. He deserved it.
That's all I have. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for February 5th. That's all I have. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned, 3:17 PM.
On that, Barry, just,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know, about these better things.